Is an outpouring of shock and sadness this morning for longtime peace activist Vivian Silver. Born in Winnipeg, raised in Winnipeg, moved to Israel in 1974, and the sadness as a result being experienced both here and in Israel. Her family has confirmed she was killed in the October 7th attack by Hamas. Family had initially believed she was being held hostage in Gaza, but in fact, the family now says her body was recovered earlier, has only now been identified with certainty. She lived on kibbutz Be'eri, where officials say at least 120 other men, women, and children were killed in the attack, and she is being remembered for a lifelong dedication to the cause of peace. Someone who shared her ideals and shared a friendship with Vivian Silver for many years is with me this morning. He's a Middle East director for the International Communities Organization, a human rights advocacy group, co-chair of the Israel-Palestine Center for Research and Information. Gershon Baskin back with us this morning from Jerusalem. Sir, welcome back to our program.
Thank you.
And I'm very sorry, as I mentioned to you off camera, for the circumstances that bring you back to us today. I'm wondering, when we last spoke, the thinking was that Vivian Silver was being held hostage. What is your reaction to the confirmation that she was, in fact, killed in the kibbutz that day?
It is very, very sad and a very great loss to her family and her friends and the community of peacemakers in Israel and in Palestine. Vivian was a leader in the peace movement in Israel. She was a member of a small group of people that I was a member of who believed that we needed to work together with the people that we want to live together with. Every organization that she was involved with and she founded was a joint Jewish-Arab-Israeli-Palestinian organization. She was one of the leaders and founders of Women Wage Peace, which is the largest peace movement in Israel. She was a person who lived her life according to her ideals, and it's so sad that she was murdered by people that she wanted to try to live in peace with.
I was going to ask you that very point, that horrible irony. Somebody who had such a lifelong commitment to that ideal of peace, to be murdered, to be killed in that horrific attack.
Well, the people who killed her are fanatics who have been indoctrinated into an ideology of hate, into an ideology of revenge, into a distorted view of Islam that sanctifies death rather than sanctify peace. It is a result of 56 years of occupying another people and denying them their freedom, and the delusion that we can live in quiet and calm next to a people of more than 2 million in size in a small territory where 80% of them live under the poverty line. And Vivian knew that very well. She was living in a community right next to the Gaza Strip and always believed that there needed to be open borders and interaction with these people, and that the siege that the people in Gaza lived under, which was a result of them electing a radical government, needed to be changed by encouraging people to understand that they should live for Palestine rather than die for Palestine.
You know, one of the things, I never met her, but I've been looking, obviously, over these past weeks at many pictures of her, and we're going to play some of them again, and I can't help but be struck by this smile, you know, and this glow which seems to emanate from this woman. And you knew her for about 30 years. Tell me a little bit about, you've talked about her ideals, but the depth of her conviction and her courage and her commitment. Tell me more about that and where it came from.
I think that Vivian grew up in an environment in which she believed that people need to live with each other. She was a happy, optimistic person. She was a person who lit up a room wherever she came in, and that smile that we're seeing now says it all. This was Vivian. She was someone that you liked to be with. She was a leader. She had a moral compass that led the direction of many people who followed her. She was a delightful person. I had many long, enjoyable conversations with her. We shared a lot of the same opinions. We sometimes differed, but even when we differed, we agreed that we were both heading in the right direction.
What do you think her view would have been of the current situation, that horrible attack, but then the war that has followed? It's now 40 days into that, Gershon. I'm wondering the aftermath, what has happened?
I imagine that she would very much share the same opinions that I have, that Hamas crossed the line on October 7th, the line that separates humanity from whatever is beyond humanity, and that the people of Gaza needed to be freed from the Hamas leadership that they elected in 2006 under the false pretense that Hamas would bring them to freedom. Hamas has led them to destruction, and I think she would have no mercy on the people of Hamas if she were alive today, but she would reach out, as I did in the early days of the war, and contact every friend that we have in Gaza and tell them that our hearts and our minds are with you and that we truly want to live in peace, but we can't live in peace with the people who are dedicated to killing us. Truly
want to live in peace. After the attack happened, I read a published piece in which you were quoted, and you said that what had happened on October the 7th, really, as a longtime peace activist yourself, you changed how you view things, that you saw, the quote from you was that you've come to the conclusion that there's nothing to negotiate with Hamas. So I'm wondering whether you think now, and again, what you and she pursued for these many years is even attainable now or even desirable in the same way now. How has that changed things?
It hasn't changed the basic reality that between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, there's 7 million Israeli Jews and 7 million Palestinian Arabs who all call this small piece of land our homeland. And at the end of the day, when this tragedy is over, when we live past the trauma that we're all experiencing, we're going to have to wake up and recognize that everyone who lives here must have the same right to the same rights. It is true that we cannot negotiate with Hamas. They have gone beyond the point of negotiating. Other than a hostage release and a prisoner exchange, we can negotiate with them. But Hamas has to be dismantled from their ability to rule Gaza, to control that territory, to continue to threaten the people of Israel, and I think encage their own people in a life of misery. We need to get beyond that. But there are more than 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza, another 3.5 million in the West Bank, and 2 million Palestinians inside the state of Israel. These are our neighbors, and we have to live with them, and they have to live with us, and we have to negotiate that. We need to have what I've been calling our Belfast moment, which wasn't a moment in Belfast, but it was a point when people realized that after hundreds of years of killing each other, we have to say enough, stop. We have to face the reality that we're all here, and we have to look forward and not only look backwards all the time.
You know, many people, in paying tribute to Vivian Silver, have used the Jewish expression, may her memory be a blessing. And I'm wondering if it may even go beyond that. May her memory be an inspiration. What influence or impact do you think it could have?
I think so. I see the calls that are coming out on social media now from all the groups that she was a member of and a political party that she joined that I'm a member of. And we want to dedicate her memory and her life to our devotion to ensuring that we will find peace after this war is over. We will convince enough people that revenge is not the answer, that hatred has to be emptied from our souls, and we have to fill ourselves with the spirit of hope and a belief that we can find the way to live in peace.
Gershon Baskin, it's uplifting to hear you still speak of hope on a dark day for you and for friends and family members who knew this woman so well. And thank you for telling us about her, and we'll speak again, I hope, sir. Thanks for the time this morning.
Thank you.